Los Angeles didn't know his name, but it knew his footsteps. Windows were nailed shut, gun stores ran out of ammunition, parents slept on the floor outside their children's rooms. And the man causing all of it was watching the panic spread on the nightly news. Tonight we're not just telling you what Richard Ramirez did, we're telling you how fear itself became the weapon that exposed him. Stay with me, because the city helped catch its own nightmare. Southern California is growing fast, anonymous, sprawling, disconnected. Police radios are busy, crimes are high, serial offenders are not yet household concepts. Then the attacks start. No pattern at first, different neighborhoods, different victims, different weapons. The only constant is night. Victims wake up to strangers standing over their beds. Some survive, many don't. Detectives realize something terrifying. This isn't chaos, it's adaptation. Richard Ramirez doesn't hunt a type, he hunts opportunity. Men, women, elderly couples, single mothers, sometimes a gun, sometimes a knife, sometimes a tire iron. He enters quietly. He lingers. He speaks. And in several attacks, he leaves survivors alive, not out of mercy, but because terror itself is part of the crime. Detectives struggle. Profiles fail. The city grows restless. And then the media gives him a name. The Night Stalker. Once the name hits the airwaves, everything changes. News broadcasts map his crimes nightly. Anchors speculate. Talk radio feeds paranoia. People stop sleeping. This is where Ramirez makes a fatal mistake. He watches himself. He follows coverage obsessively. He learns police mistakes in real time. He changes behavior accordingly. But fear does something else. It turns millions of ordinary people into alert witnesses. Fear doesn't stay abstract for long. It moves into habits. By midsummer of 1985, Southern California begins to change its behavior, not because police ask it to, but because people are adapting faster than the system can. Hardware stores sell out of locks. Plywood disappears from shelves. Window bars go up overnight. Lights stay on until morning. People stop sleeping behind glass. They sleep in hallways, on couches, with weapons close enough to reach in the dark. Gun ownership spikes. So does paranoia, but something else rises with it. Awareness. Richard Ramirez feels it immediately. Neighborhoods that once went dark after midnight now glow. Porch lights snap on when he passes. Dogs bark longer. Shadows move when he doesn't expect them to. Doors don't give the way they used to. He adapts. Again. He starts checking windows twice. He abandons homes more often. He walks away empty-handed. This is new. The predator is hesitating. The predator is hesitating. And then come the patrols, not official ones. Groups of men sitting on lawns at night, folding chairs, flashlights, shotguns resting visibly across knees. Neighbors who have never spoken before exchange names, routines, and warnings. Which house is empty? Which family is out of town? Which street has poor lighting? The city is talking to itself. Police hotlines light up. Not with hysteria, with specificity. Descriptions get sharper. Timelines get narrower. Sightings overlap. Someone notices a man walking strangely. Someone else remembers a shoe sole. Someone recognizes the way he looks at houses instead of people. Patterns begin to surface because millions of eyes are now looking for them. Ramirez makes another mistake. He leaves evidence. A fingerprint in a stolen car. A shoe print investigators hadn't seen before. An Avia sneaker. Detectives finally have something solid. And now, for the first time, the city isn't just afraid, it's focused. The man who once disappeared into anonymity is starting to feel surrounded. He doesn't know where the net ends anymore. And that uncertainty, that constant pressure, is what drives him to run. Homeowners install floodlights. Neighbors form patrols. Suspicious men are confronted instead of ignored. Ramirez begins to feel it. Doors are locked earlier. Lights flick on when he walks by. People look twice. The city no longer feels asleep. And then, for the first time, he's seen clearly. A fingerprint is lifted from a car. A shoe print draws attention. A face begins to form. The net tightens. By the time the city begins to close in, investigators are no longer counting nights. They're counting damage. Richard Ramirez isn't linked to one neighborhood or one type of crime. He's connected to dozens. Over the course of 1984 and 1985, police eventually tie him to at least 13 murders, more than 30 violent attacks, numerous sexual assaults, home invasions spread across multiple counties, and those are only the crimes that leave enough evidence behind. What makes the numbers unsettling isn't just how high they are, it's how compressed they are. Some attacks are separated by days, others by hours. He moves fast, learns faster. When a method draws attention, he changes it. When a neighborhood hardens, he relocates. There is no cooling off period, only movement. For detectives, the case feels endless. Reports stack up faster than they can be processed. Survivors describe different weapons, different words spoken, different rituals. At first glance, the crimes don't look connected. But then patterns emerge beneath the surface. Forced entry through unlocked doors or windows. Attacks late at night or just before dawn. Victims confronted in their most vulnerable state, asleep. The volume itself becomes the clue. This isn't random violence. It's sustained pressure. Hospitals begin to recognize the injuries. Emergency rooms quietly share concerns. Entire units know his work without saying his name. Victims survive carrying something worse than wounds. They carry memory. And fear spreads through those memories faster than police bulletins ever could. By mid-1985, Los Angeles isn't reacting to a killer. It's reacting to attrition. A city worn down night after night by the knowledge that this man keeps getting away. Every new crime reinforces the same message. He's still out there, and he's not slowing down. Which is why, when his face finally appears on television, when the crimes finally stop being numbers and start being a man, the city doesn't hesitate. Because by then, the count is already too high. Police release his photo. It's everywhere: store windows, TV screens, bus stops. This is no longer a hunt. It's a manhunt. Ramirez panics. He flees Los Angeles. But the fear has followed him. By late August of 1985, the city had memorized his face. Not a suspect sketch. Not a vague description. A photograph. The mustache. The dark eyes. The sharp cheekbones. His image was everywhere. On television screens, taped to store windows, passed hand to hand like a warning. Richard Ramirez knew it, and that knowledge broke the illusion that had protected him. On August 31st, Ramirez returns to East Los Angeles. He's tired. He's disoriented. He's been away too long. What he doesn't realize is that this neighborhood isn't asleep. It's alert. He steps into a convenience store. A woman behind the counter looks up. She freezes, because she's seen that face before. Not in real life. On the news. Her voice cuts through the store. That's him. Not whispered, not questioned. Declared. Ramirez bolts. Out the door, down the street. And something unprecedented happens. No one waits for police. People pour out of homes, out of shops, into the street. Strangers who don't know each other but know exactly who they're chasing. Ramirez runs. He tries to carjack someone. The driver fights back. He trips. He stumbles. The fear he once controlled has reversed direction. Now it's chasing him. A crowd surrounds him. Not vigilantes, not heroes. Just people who have been terrorized for months and finally recognize the source. They beat him. Not to kill him. To stop him. He's restrained. Held down. Bloodied. Police arrive to a scene that doesn't look like an arrest. It looks like a release. When officers pull Ramirez away, the crowd doesn't cheer. They breathe. For the first time in months, they exhale. Richard Ramirez is alive when he's taken into custody. Barely. And the most terrifying killer in California isn't brought down by a profiler or a breakthrough interrogation, but by ordinary people who refuse to look away one more time. The Night Stalker didn't disappear into the night. He was dragged out of it. At trial, Ramirez embraces notoriety, smiles for cameras, speaks in symbols. He wants fear back. But something has changed. The story isn't about him anymore. It's about the city that refused to look away. He is convicted on multiple counts of murder and assault, sentenced to death. Later dies in prison in 2013. No mystery remains about who he was. But the question lingers. Did fear stop him or fuel him? Fear is contagious, but so is awareness. Richard Ramirez thrived in shadows. He adapted to silence. What he couldn't survive was attention. The Night Stalker didn't lose because he was outsmarted. He lost because he was seen. And every time we tell stories like this, we have to ask ourselves, are we exposing monsters or feeding them? Because somewhere, someone is watching how we react. This wasn't just a crime spree, it was a city under siege. And a reminder that darkness doesn't disappear quietly. Sometimes, it panics when the lights come on. This has been Quiet Witness Chronicles. And some stories don't end when the killer is caught. They end when we decide what not to make famous.